How you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the completely unnecessary Super Show podcast.
Super Show.
It's a Monday. You might hear this on a Tuesday, but it's a Monday, March 11th.
Rare Monday.
2024. We are in daylight savings time. The only time, as far as I'm concerned. That's Ian Ferguson. I'm Pat Contry.
The only time for you.
On the show today, you know my standard time hatred. Every year I talk about it. On the show today, we'll be talking about Warner Brothers being silly again.
Silly, huh?
Zack Snyder being sillier.
That's the word.
Wada Signature Heritage Auction sealed game report. We'll also be talking about a little clickbaity 6 things you should know before collecting retro games. Ian did not put down number 1 there, but he's going to put down number 1.
I mean, you took all the other ones I have. That's the problem here. You took very obvious ones.
I took 2, 4, and 6.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't know if it's that
well,
much.
Ian, you have to think of a number 1. Okay. We're doing okay out there. Ian, you played the Jeff Minter Gold Masterworks from
Digital Eclipse. Yeah, I played a lot of it. It's another release from Digital Eclipse. If you liked the Karateka release or the Atari 50th, you know the quality level to expect here. It's a kind of a full recap of Jeff Minter's, portfolio, basically. Sure. He's kind of been around. One of the interesting things about him is he's been around making games for almost the entirety of what we consider video games. I mean, he's been there since almost the beginning. He started making games in the late 70s, and he's still releasing games today. And I think that's where one of the differences is. A lot of the folks who were important in the early days of video games and video game design, they went on to do different things. He's kind of stuck around in the realm. Very interesting person, very, very interesting games. Definitely always kind of a little on the outside of I mean, they're all, most of them feature llamas or camels with names like
alpacas.
I believe there's alpacas, but like with names like Metagalactic Llamas Battle at the Edge of Time, which is a great game. I really enjoyed that one. So yeah, you know what you're getting in terms of quality and presentation, and the subject matter is fascinating. The first night I sat down to play it, I sat there for 5 hours going through the various timelines. So yeah, I would definitely pick that one up.
I added number 1 for you, by the way.
Thank you.
You can approve. I can't believe you couldn't think of a third one. But anyway, interesting in the preservation/emulation world. This is from Gaming Alexandria. One of the things I know zero bit about, but I did not know this was not preserved. The Epoch cassette game system. I know nothing about this. This was not a domestic console. That's partially why I know nothing about this. Any thoughts? I don't know if I've come across any of these games, even at a convention.
No, I haven't, and I don't think you will. That's probably why, it has taken forever for this to be emulated. It's an interesting system in that and this is probably why you don't see them and why it took forever. Everything you need is in the cartridge. There is, I believe, the base of the system simply acts as an AV pass-through.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Wild
stuff.
Yes.
Means the cost of the system should be really cheap.
So yeah, here you go. To put it into better language that they used. The base unit has no CPU. None. Has no CPU at all. It merely serves as an AV output. The game cartridges themselves hold all the necessary hardware to run the game with a custom LSI that incorporates the CPU, RAM, and the ROM code. This design was similar to the PC-50X family of systems, which were sold primarily in Europe and Asia in the 1970s. So,
what an inefficient way to make game cartridges. You're replicating the system hardware in every cartridge? That's bizarre.
Well, I mean, this was 1981.
Sure, but other consoles are out.
Sure, they are. I'm just saying it's not exactly at the point in time where I would be like, well, you have to know better.
Sure, but there was no precedence for doing it like this. Like they just, I guess they decided we're going to try it and see how it goes. Let's see. According to this article, the system was 13,500 yen. Let's see.
And there was the Junior that
Junior shipped for that.
days after the Nintendo Famicom for a very cheap 5,000 yen.
So what did the games cost? I want to know. The games couldn't have cost that much more. I guess you're getting the controllers. So the controllers is what the cost is really. You're saying it's like an AV like throughput with buttons on it. That's bizarre. I'm trying to think of another system that did something like that. Someone in the comments is going to know if any other system did that.
The only one I can think of, and this is not a console, but the Microvision. The Microvision was basically the same thing. Everything was in the cartridge. You literally just connected a controller.
That came to mind. Video game meters, 1979. We talked about that. Video game meters. And my one Microvision I had that you can almost see what's happening on the screen since they're notoriously horrible in terms of
the LCD. I mean that's late 70s LCDs. Yeah. That's garbage tech. I mean those screens are trash.
I think some people restored those. Believe it or not.
There are ways to restore LCD stuff. I don't know how to do it. I used to follow a guy, and he only posted in Japanese. But I used to follow a guy who bought old Game & Watches and old like card LCD games, and he would do restoration on them. And I have no idea what he was doing, but like the process photos were fascinating to me, so I just kept following him. It's a lot of work though.
So anyway, the Epoch Cassette Vision, according to this article, they sold 500,000 units for Japan. That's pretty good. Remember that population differences.
Well, and in 81 as well. That's pretty good for it.
That's damn good. So a success there. But I never really heard of it. So there you go. Like the controllers are pretty cool. The controllers are on the system. Paddle, little mini joystick controls. Warner Brothers. We're in the. I don't want to call it. I saw some people saying we are not in a video game crash. Let's just put it that way. The interest in video games has never been bigger.
No, we're not in a video game crash. We're just back to the early 1900s where everyone just buys everything up and fucking guts it.
When you say crash, when people say we're in a crash, what they're trying to connote is that interest levels are so down you can't sell games to people anymore. That's not what's happening.
See, I haven't seen anyone call it that, but if there is, that's weird.
No.
Totally wrong.
Because that's a crash. A crash is interest is so gone you can't sell anything. The problem is the state of the AAA companies not knowing how to invest properly and not knowing how to structure their business. And therefore closing studios up, canceling games. That's not a crash. That's them not knowing what the fuck they're doing.
EA, Sony, Microsoft, it's all, they've all done the classic, our stock is our product, not our product. And so where do we go from here? You're firing everyone. You've fired the people. You even fired and laid off people who made the games that made you money.
Correct.
So you have shown people that even doing the best they possibly can do isn't good enough. I don't know where we go from here, but we're at a tipping point.
So the Warner Brothers says they want to further invest in live service games because Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, fell short of expectations. Maybe it was a game no one wanted. That's why it fell short. Not that people didn't want a game like that, but maybe you have to market research better. I saw people get pissed. I was pissed that, they kill off Batman willy-nilly in the game, spoilers in a cutscene for no fucking reason. And it was Kevin Conroy voicing it. So it was like extra gut punch to people because he had just died. And it was like, this is an ignoble way for Batman to go out in a game, even though it's like an Elseworld story, it was the same sort of Batman character as the trifecta of games, the Arkham games. So maybe you don't do stupid fucking boneheaded decisions like that. I don't know.
Well, also people don't want live services games anymore. Look at Avengers. That was a huge flop. They basically just took the Avengers game that Square Enix did, reskinned it and released it, and people don't want that shit. No one wants a live services game anymore. But everyone keeps trying to recreate the next Fortnite.
But like banking on a Suicide Squad game because you had a couple of quirky movies come out. It's like is this a viable property that you can invest a ton of money on as a AAA game? I don't know, but apparently Warner Brothers rolled the dice and it didn't do as well as they hoped. So because of that, there's probably going to be more layoffs and things like that. They're delisting Adult Swim games, which boggles the mind how much that could cost them to keep those servers up. For these games that are old and not gigantic.
Tax breaks.
I don't know what it is, but Warner Brothers Discovery is like making every decision that makes you want to scream late stage capitalism. And I hate using that expression, but this is what it is. I don't, because I think it's sometimes it's misused. But this is like,
no, this is very much the definition of what that means.
We're gonna kill things for no reason. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
When it doesn't make any sense anymore, you are going to lose your creatives. You're going to lose people. Because now, what are they supposed to expect? If they are not rewarded for doing well, if they are punished, if things are like, it's just, I don't know. That's got to create a very strange feeling of terror within a creative person.
All right, so it's like next 60 days. Let's see. This is for small radios, big televisions. They're going to remove the game in 60 days. Another developer said they were served the same notice. So it looks like, they're going to start delisting games here and there. So make sure if you want those games, make sure you save them.
I've actually heard some of them are pretty good.
If people are pissed off, I'm not an Adult Swim guy. I never really followed the titles or IPs, but
I don't think they're like licensed games. I think they're their own, like they're their own thing.
But I mean, like I'm not in the ecosystem, but I'm a lot of people are. So that sucks. You know what doesn't suck? Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the N64 Library. It's a terrible segue. But the Kickstarter has...
It's not one of your best.
No, it's not. The Kickstarter for N64 Guidebook, there's only 3 days left. So get in early. Here's a little video that's going to tell you about it.
It's me, Mario. Hello.
Nintendo makes the jump to 3D, introducing Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the N64 Library. This 450-page hardcover book contains information, screenshots, and reviews for all the games released worldwide for Nintendo's 64-bit home video game console between 1996 and 2002. Details for every Nintendo 64 game are here, including genre, release date, region, developer, publisher, number of players, game features, availability, and overall rating. Each title has a full review, as well as reflections for additional details about the game's release, historical notes, personal reviewer thoughts, and more. There are even illustrations of cartridge variants, including Player's Choice cartridges and international versions. The 400 full-page Nintendo 64 game reviews are only the beginning. There are additional sections dedicated to special cartridges, not for resale cartridges, and even a section for the 64DD games released only in Japan. But there is more than just games. The Nintendo 64 hardware section illustrates all the first-party controllers and accessories. There's a section highlighting some third-party accessories. And there are even sections where you can learn all about the N64 console and controller variants. This guidebook also includes articles covering topics such as Nintendo 64 technology, the history of the 64DD, N64 3D platformers, N64 wrestling games, the N64 party games, canceled N64 titles, and more. There is even a bonus mystery review section to be revealed later. From the same team that brought you the Guide to the NES Library and the Guide to the SNES Library, Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the N64 Library is a definitive resource to learn about hundreds of fun and memorable N64 titles. Are you a fan of Nintendo or retro video games? Check out Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the N64 Library. You can support this book project on Kickstarter or by pre-ordering at ultimatenintendo.com.
There you go. And remember, if you get in early, you get your name in the back of the book as an early supporter. You won't get that later on after it's released.
Hey.
You won't get that. Speaking of Warner Brothers in a weird way, Zack Snyder came up in the news again. I've got to find the article. But Zack Snyder, you know what? I almost can't be mad at the guy because he keeps saying weird things. He came out with a quote saying that the decision of Batman not killing people is mistreating Batman. Because I think his quote was something like...
He said, you're treating your character like a god in a weird way.
God in a weird way. First of all, I don't know why you think Batman's the god in the universe when it's clearly like someone like Superman who can't really be killed.
I think it's just... I think what he means is the writers consider Batman a god. I'm not saying a god in universe. They treat him like a god is what I think he is referring to.
But isn't it more clever to have a character that isn't forced to kill all his adversaries in order to defeat them.
At this point, I don't think it's more clever, but I don't think it's a bad thing for that character to have that. Like, it's a choice you make. Clever or not, it's a choice that's made.
No, but I mean, like, in terms of, like, okay, let's just be realistic. If superheroes really existed, there'd be no supervillains because they'd all be killed in first encounter.
Well, sure.
Spider-Man wouldn't give the Shocker more than one chance to kill him with his electros. He'd just punch him, and his head would explode instantly.
Yes.
That's not interesting, though.
Well,
you know, that's like, you can deconstruct superheroes, and when they do that, yeah, it's you know why it's a deconstruction? Because if that actually existed, it wouldn't be interesting to follow that superhero around. Like, that's why I never got into the Punisher. Like me personally, she's just killing everyone, shooting everyone in the face. Okay, that gets old, and that's not someone I look up to. That's just me. That's just me. So that's not my form of vigilante justice. So Batman, I'm not into the Batman mythos as I am for, like, Spider-Man or other characters. But the fact that Batman, his whole origin was based on the fact that a criminal killed his parents.
Yeah.
As overdone as that is, that's an essential part of the character and why he doesn't want to then just kill everyone willy-nilly. Like, that's sort of baked into the character. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think Ian and I can agree that the Batfleck version misses the mark somewhat when he just kills every henchman he comes across when he doesn't need to. You, like, remember the one scene in the warehouse in Batman where he, like, spikes the guy's head into the fucking ground, and, like, he's just wiping everyone out.
I don't, because I didn't watch the movie.
But it's just, I don't want to say it's glorification of cool violence, but, like, he's not Wolverine. Like, he's Batman. Like,
yeah.
He's cool to a point to me, but he's not the sort of person that he's like a silent cool because he's actually supposed to be smart and figure shit out, but that gets forgotten until the Batman movie that I finally saw from a couple years ago. It's the closest to, like, what Batman actually is out of all the Batman movies.
Oh, you finally watched it?
I finally saw it.
It's great.
It's good.
It's fucking great.
Frank hasn't watched it. I said, Frank, we got to watch it together because this is the only noirish detective Batman movie out of all the 12 Batman movies.
That movie it took me by surprise. I fucking loved it. Thought it was awesome.
And the long time of it, you didn't even realize that it's like a 3-hour movie.
No, it's a 3-hour movie that felt like a 2-hour movie to me. To be realistic, it went way quicker than I thought. I remember Bonnie and I started it late at night, and we got up and we're like, "What the fuck time is it?"
And then he referenced that Batman shoots someone in The Dark Knight Returns as its basis for it, and. First of all, that's a very interesting scene that he references in The Dark Knight Returns but if that's his only reference.
I've seen that movie a billion times. What scene?
No, not the movie, the graphic novel.
Oh yeah, sure.
When he shoots one of the bald punk people when he's holding a kid's cell, shoot the kid, and Batman says, "I believe you," and shoots them.
Yeah.
That's a very particular instance. If you've read The Dark Knight Returns, he refuses to finish off the Joker when he encounters him. The Joker has to kill himself. So, like, Zack Snyder doesn't even know the entirety of what he's referencing, and that's what's infuriating to me.
Well, yeah.
Like, even at the end, he can't kill the Joker. At the end. Like, it's... Whatever. I don't want... Like, Zack Snyder is frustrating because he understands things to a point, but not the entire thing. Watchmen. He understands it on, like, a fucking 12-year-old level, but not a college student level, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
Anything else to add? I don't know.
No, but just between, him whining about, he's a child who it's constantly with him. It's just, wouldn't that be cool without thinking? It goes no further than skin deep for him.
Yes.
That's it.
The whole Batman getting sexually assaulted in prison.
He does not understand the character.
What?
If you want to alter the character that much, make your own character. That easy.
You think Batman in prison, a guy who's like, ultimate athlete, 6'4", 240, he'll do okay in prison. I'm not saying he wouldn't get hit upon by a gang or whatever. You don't want to mess with Batman in prison. I'm just saying you wouldn't want to do that. Like, I wouldn't want to step up to Batman in prison. Sure. Batman Begins, he was in that prison in Asia, remember? Mm-hmm. And he had to deal with himself. So no sexual assault. Sorry.
Batman Begins was really good.
It was good. That was my favorite of the three. It actually was my favorite of the three movies.
It's tight. It's tight and succinct, and I think Cillian Murphy is fucking great as Scarecrow.
Oh, he's great. I got to see Oppenheimer. I haven't seen it yet. And then I argue with Frank. Frank loves Dark Knight Rises. I can't stand that third movie. That I cannot rewatch that third movie.
I haven't seen it. When it came out, I was in the middle of a breakup with an ex, and I remember not going to see it. And I know a lot of people did not like it. A lot of people did not like it. And then I want to say maybe 5 years ago, you started finding apologists for it. And I kind of want to watch it, but you know how hard it is for me to sit down and watch a movie that's longer than 2 hours. And it's a 3-hour movie, isn't it?
It's a long fucking movie, and it's super bloated, and Batman's barely in it, which you know, but like
yeah.
There's nothing detective-y about it. Go watch the new Batman movie from a couple years ago.
Yeah. If it wasn't 3 hours, I'd watch it again.
I gotta watch with Frank, because I said, Frank, we gotta watch this together, because Frank always is like, yeah, noir Batman. I'm like, this is the closest to like an actual Batman.
Was fucking great as Batman. Good. He was really, really better Batman than a Bruce Wayne. But I think when people complain about the movie, they complain about his Bruce Wayne, and it's like, he's kind of getting used to it. Not
enough Playboy.
Right.
The thing that Christian Bale got perfectly was like a doofus Playboy. Yeah.
I agree a little bit, but I still did. It didn't detract from the movie for me.
That derailed my train of thought there.
You know where you can get that train of thought back? At ultimatenintendo.com.
Absolutely. And you can go there. You can order RBI baseball stickers. Someone ordered, I think I tweeted out, they ordered like 10 or 20 the other week. They were like 20 of them. I'm not kidding. They were like 20 of them. CU Podcast enamel, pin, stickers, certain guidebooks, N64 guidebook can be pre-ordered as well. All at ultimatenintendo.com. The Kickstarter is ending on Thursday, Ian. And in celebration, I don't know. I'm going to stream myself playing N64 games.
Whoa,
with a real N64 on twitch.tv/countrycode. Go subscribe now there. And I'll be there Thursday to celebrate the end of the Kickstarter. And hopefully no one requests Carmageddon 64. Please do not, which means they will. I can play a few races of Carmageddon, I guess. Get in early there. What do I get derailed with now? We're talking about Batman. We were talking about Zack Snyder.
We were just talking about Zack Snyder, and then at the end you said, and watch the new Batman. We were literally moving into the next topic.
Oh, I had another thought, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
More layoffs. We talked about we're not in a video game crash, but the companies don't know what the hell they're doing. EA layoffs. Laid off, what was the percent of the company? 6% or whatever?
I don't know. They 5%. They fired 667 employees.
5%
laid off.
5% employees globally. 5% in one fell swoop.
670 folks without a job.
They were streamlining and would deliver deeper, more connected experiences for fans. And another Star Wars game. This is like the third or fourth in the past 5 years. Major game has been canceled. Like,
I know I can think of at least the open world one got canceled.
Yep.
The first single player one they tried to do got canceled, and this is the FPS. Those are the three I can think of. I would not be surprised if there was more.
I think they might have canceled a Battlefront game, another Battlefront.
Well, that might. This is first person.
This is the first person.
That might have been
at least three.
Anyways,
at least three big games.
I'd say 3 in 3 years.
There's no small
4.
There's no small EA Star Wars game. That's
not
the point.
Anymore.
These are all games that take multiple years.
Yeah.
And this was they canceled. I think they're going to do like a bounty hunter game, or this was going to be one. They canceled a bunch of shit. We can't keep track. It's a disaster there. This was, let's see. They announced in December 2023 they'd be laying off staff at UK developer Codemasters. The OG Codemasters they're doing F1 games and EA Sports games. Wow. So the writing's on the wall with EA. In terms of obviously cost cutting, they're no more FIFA license. They're like, fuck that, we don't need that. We're just going to do our own thing and just, we don't need FIFA license. That saved them a ton of money. So I don't understand what's happening here. I don't understand why.
To the detriment of the game, but then the fucked up thing is like, where else are these players going to go? They'll complain, but they got nothing else to fucking play, so they're going to play that.
They said we are also sunsetting games and moving away from development of future licensed IP that we do not believe will be successful in our changing industry. So they're basically saying maybe less Star Wars games, I guess, even though they were the exclusive developer. They got the deal for that whatever years ago. I don't understand what's happening here. I think we're getting to the point of just the fact that these games are so gigantic in scope and scale and budget that they're afraid now to take these risks because they've been hurt maybe on some of these.
Yeah, maybe that's a sign that they should rein it in a little bit.
AA games, single A. Not everything has to be AAA $70, 87 hours of content games. Maybe that's not the way the industry is going to work going forward. Maybe you have to be very careful about what you're putting out there and what you're risking. The same thing with movies. Like, not every movie has to be $250 million. They figured that out the past year and a half. Disney took a fucking beating between Indiana Jones and Ant-Man and the Marvels. They got destroyed last year.
The movie that I loved so much, and I've talked about, I think we talked about it on here, at least on a bonus, but Godzilla -1 had an insanely small budget. It looks fucking amazing and won Best VFX. Like, you just don't need everything to be so fucking bloated.
When I watch these, it
looked better than any Marvel movie has in years.
I watch these on Twitch every Wednesday. I do these commercial streams. One of the things that is nostalgic now are movies without IPs that are just like, hey, it's a drama about two people that are 40 years old meeting, getting together, probably cost like $7 million in 96, and people saw it and probably made back money on VHS and rentals. Where are those movies? Like, people would see movies like that if they were written well with proper stars. That's what Matt Damon said, I think, last year. Like, that the lack of physical media wiped out these smaller movies that would have been profitable and less risky for studios, and people want to see them. What's happened? Like, I think we're retracting back to a point of reason where we have to make things that cost less money in movies, and I guess games as well. Like, why not?
Well, and
as long as it's fun, who cares?
It's destroyed the fucking gaming landscape, too, because, it wasn't that long ago. You go back to, like, Xbox 360 and PS3, and you've got these single A and double A titles, as people call them. There's, you have the AAA games, but you've got this, like, underbrush of all these interesting, cheaper games, all these companies making them, and now you buy a PlayStation 5, and it's like you feel like you're waiting for games to come out.
Like four giant games.
Because every fucking company has decided that they've got to put out the next AAA big budget fucking title. So nothing comes out at a smaller budget. So you get less games. I'm less interested because they're all fucking homogenous.
Sure.
And they're these huge projects that these studios undertake for millions and billions of dollars. And when they fail, they take less risks. So I don't know. It drives me nuts. And it's kind of why I've switched to PC gaming, because it used to be you would get all sorts of weird games on consoles that you would never get on PC by companies putting out, a single A game a year or, something like that. And now you get that on PC and you don't get it on console. It really feels like it's flipped.
I don't think these companies know how to mitigate risk anymore. They've forgotten. They just think, oh, every game's a giant game that's going to make us back a certain amount of money. If we invest $400 million, it'll make us $200 million. They have to recalculate going forward.
Especially if we put, especially if we make the game about a B team,
Suicide Squad. I know people love Harley Quinn. I don't think if that's going to make your $1 billion game, her and a bunch of like DC villains no one gives a shit about. Sorry, Boomerang Man fans out there. But that's just
I think Boomerang. A Suicide Squad game could have been fun, but like but if you did it like they did the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which was single player, and a lot of people didn't play it, but everyone who played it was like, no, it feels like playing the comic, and the gameplay is good. You could have done that with Suicide Squad, switch yourself between characters, play all the different little characters doing weird with their weird superpowers and whatnot. But no, it's got to be a fucking live services game.
Well, speaking of that, this is what EA says. The greater focus allows us to drive creativity, accelerate innovation. Where's the innovation? I don't know. And double down on our biggest opportunities, including our own IP, meaning we don't have to buy anything, sports, easy, it's the same engine almost every year, and massive online community is great. Games as a service. We're just going to lean into all this stuff.
That's not working. But they want to make the money, so they're going to keep forcing it until they find it.
No, working. They're making money on these things, just not enough that we have to fire people so our stock goes up for this quarter, for the fiscal year.
Because we're selling stock. That's what we're
I think they could have fired these people 2 months ago, 3 months ago, but they're firing them now because it was just fiscal year ends.
Fiscal year is over.
Lots of layoffs. Microsoft revealed plans to lay off 1,900 people in its gaming division.
Sony let go 1,600 people.
Oh, I saw this article had 900. It's more than that? Oh, shit.
Well, I can't read the article, but when you click on it, the headline says...
Oh, the BBC article?
The SF Chronicle one.
Oh.
Collectively laying off about 1,600 between two of their studios.
Jesus.
Yep.
Does that segue into Geoff Keighly?
I guess it does. And we noticed that this article on videogames.si.com, and it's basically called "Gamers Deserve Better Than Geoff Keighly."
The game industry deserves a better spokesperson.
Yeah.
From Kirk McKeon.
And basically, it starts off with like a fake artificial back and forth about this article is cutting off the 2050 Keighleys, and basically it makes fun of and says that you've got this guy who has positioned himself as the spokesperson for the video game industry, and he has done nothing to talk about the layoffs that the industry has been going through over the past few years. And his silence, especially right now, is very suspect. And it's because he needs to be an ass-kissing brown-noser because he runs the Video Game Awards show, and he's beholden to them. He will lose his little pet project if he so much as speaks out about it. And
well, it's more his pet project. That's his big gig. Is Summer Games and that award show.
Yeah, but he comes from fucking rich, he's not in any fucking danger.
That's not the point, though. That's the way
Yes.
he's making his money now.
Right.
Is that those ventures.
Yes.
He's not a journalist really anymore, right? He's not like reporting on things.
No, he's not. He's just a moneymaker. But he has positioned himself as Mr. Video Games.
Sure.
And he does not, I think it's ridiculous that he doesn't talk about any of that.
Yeah, I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now. It's just about, Game Awards, Summer Games Fest. That's his thing. Like, that's what he's doing. That's his jobs.
He wants to be best friends with all the cool gamers and all the celebrities, and it's a weird bit of starstruckness, and I don't think his heart's in the right place. And I think it's really fucked up that, I mean, when you look at the shit that went on at the last Video Game Awards, with people being played off, incredibly quickly.
No Lifetime Achievement Award.
No Lifetime Achievement Award, like a total of 11 minutes of acceptance speeches over a 3.5 hour thing. And then you have him conveniently just not... You hold a show that is a celebration of video games, yet you do everything you can to not talk about the problems that the people who make them are going through. And that's fucking dog shit.
Yeah, and it didn't have to be, because it's funded by the big video game companies fund the Game Awards.
Yes, but if you're a human with a heart, you still say something. It doesn't have to be much. It doesn't have to be much. People understand Geoff Keighley's very delicate position, but he can still say, I would just like to take a moment to acknowledge and hope that everyone who has lost their job in the industry this year lands on their feet.
Sure, but I don't know if his hand... I'm not saying that he did the right thing, but maybe he brought it to them and they said, no, you can't talk about it because it makes us all look bad.
Fine.
I mean, he could have.
But I don't mean to play devil's advocate for Geoff Keighley.
But here's the point. The difference, I guess, between him and like Goodell being the NFL commissioner, who's hired by all the NFL owners. They have a synergy between the owners and Goodell because they're all working for the same corporation. And
sure.
However, the owners don't all like each other necessarily. They have issues in between each other. Right. Between the 32 NFL teams. And there's divisions between them that, he probably has to sort of iron out. Geoff Keighley's just a spokesperson.
Yeah, literally.
Like, he has no influence over these companies. They have all the influence over him entirely.
Yeah, like, because it's a bunch of different companies. It's not, even though it's video games is not a neat umbrella.
No, they were competing
it's still
with
all
each
just
other.
Businesses trying to make more money than the other.
It's all just, all right, you want to show off this Sony game for 20 minutes? You better show off the Microsoft. Like, guarantee you they have talk about amount of time being shown between these companies for these different products and new games. And at some point, you have to look at yourself and be like, well, why am I supporting this Game Awards show if this is how it's run?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is the point? What does this Game Awards show actually, what is it doing to improve or help the industry? And that's an open question. I'm not saying it's nothing, but I'm actually being honest. What is it doing to support the industry?
Yeah, no, I have no idea.
Is it spotlighting, I guess, some indie games that you wouldn't know about? Maybe that's like they're throwing a bone there. But for these major games,
but they don't. I mean, they don't do that. That's the shit that all gets rushed through, and then you get a 12-minute fucking presentation with Hideo Kojima, talking about emotion in computers, and
is the new game's going to change?
I don't know. Yeah, it's
so. I guess that's the question. Like, because you can if you own a PS5 or Xbox Series X or whatever, the major games coming out. They're going to advertise them to you constantly. Right. When you turn on your console, it's going to say, "Hey, this game's coming out." Nintendo same way. "Hey, this game, the new Zelda's coming out." Like, you can't avoid it. So, what is the point of the Game Awards? Because it's only like 10 years ago. Like, was it even being watched that much? I don't remember bringing it up 10 years ago. But now every year it's a thing. So I'm not calling for people to boycott it. I wouldn't do that. But at some point, I guess it's the same thing like with the Oscars we brought up. What is it serving at that point? Is it a celebration of the industry, or is it just future? It's coming soon commercials for 3 hours.
It's a celebration of a few people at the top. It's an opportunity for the guy who throws it to hang out with celebrities. It's not. And that was, we should really move on. But we had the longer conversation about this when the Game Awards happened. It's not. It's disturbingly not serving video games in any way, shape, or form. It's not lifting anyone up. It's not lifting up small creators. It's not letting them talk. It's just commercials for the big budget games. It serves no purpose.
All right, stop watching it. They don't make money. It goes away. That's all they can say. Then you get. I'm not saying you're going to ever get like why. First of all, why I don't know why video games needs a spokesperson.
They don't.
It's like, does movies have a spokesperson? No. Does music have a spokesperson? No. Like this. Like, you don't need a singular spokesperson for a multi-billion-dollar industry.
I have learned over the past few years that
sports doesn't have a spokesperson.
That there is a subset of video game fans who cannot deal with the concept of not having some sort of big yearly video game event.
Okay.
I think that is. I remember because it made me I was so annoyed because I knew someone who every year would watch the E3 stuff and every year would be like, this is so shitty. Like, why did I bother watching it? And then they would spend like 6 months complaining about it. And then they would talk about how they were taking time off for the next E3 to watch the stuff. And that's the thing people do. And I don't get it. It's a circle where it's just something you do so you never break the cycle. And it's like, you don't even like this.
It's like their Super Bowl, basically. It's like it's their main event of the year.
So when E3 started to fall apart and that first Summer of Games thing happened, there was a group of people who really, I think, just got behind Geoff and wanted to see it succeed because they needed their yearly video game thing.
Okay.
But then they complain about it. That's the thing. Every time the Video Games Awards happens, people bitch about it. People always have, bitched about the last 4 years of E3 providing nothing.
Well, literally nothing the past couple years.
They can't. They cannot stop. They cannot stop feeding into it.
Is it just, I guess, being a quote unquote? I guess you're a cultural gamer and that's your thing. Like that.
I guess that's it. I've never thought of gaming as a cultural thing. Like,
but there's some that treat it as their culture.
It's a lifestyle. Gaming is. I play a shitload of video games, especially these days now that I don't work at Luna and I've gotten my interest back. But I've never thought of it as a lifestyle or a cultural thing. I don't buy gamer products or listen to gamer podcasts.
We don't listen to our podcast, Ian?
I don't listen to any podcasts. I literally.
Is this officially a gamer podcast?
I don't know.
Well, if you want to listen to more of us. Our exclusive on patreon.com/CU podcast. I do a
listen to us argue about the contents of Jack in the Box tacos.
I was going to say, I do a 3.5 minute Oscars recap that Ian was amused by, including a naked John Cena, almost naked, the Willy Wonka fiasco in Scotland, and then also, we did a Jack in the Box argument and a talk about their current menu at patreon.com.
I think this really is one of the better little bonus segments. So, if you've been waiting for that one to jump in on.
Ian was ready to throw bows about the mini tacos.
Pat was really giving him too much credit, but tune in. You can listen.